In today's video, I thought I'd show off 5 of my more rarer type cameras that I have in my collection. Let's get into it.
You know the type of guy that was a jock in high school but ended up becoming a huge nerd? You know, someone that's not afraid to make a fool of themselves on the internet. And someone that likes to shoot Polaroid a little too much. Did I say huge nerd? You know, just an ordinary, everyday guy. Well, that's me. I'm just another Chris.
So I don't just teach people how to use instant photography cameras and teach them, how to go out, take good photos, or review the cameras. I actually, kind of collect the cameras myself. This is my hobby, but I've, turned it into this YouTube channel. And over the years, I have acquired quite a few of these cameras. And more recently, I finally got a cool shelf to display them on, and we'll talk about that in just a second. So I just want to show off 5 of the more rarer cameras that I have on my shelf. First up is the Polaroid Impulse AF. You probably recognize this one, it's usually on the back set. Now this one's kind of sneaky. It's not necessarily a rare camera. You can find Impulse cameras and Impulse AF. AF means autofocus, by the way, not as They're actually kind of a common camera, except for the AF models in various colors. There are a couple of variations in the color, and that makes them rare. This is the more common rare one. So the most common ones are gonna be like the gray and the maroon. There's also a black one. Those are kind of the common ones. Then the more rarer ones would be the blue version, which I own, and then the ultra rare ones would be the green or jade and the yellow version. And fun fact, I haven't done a single review on these cameras that you're about to see. It'll come soon. But the reason I haven't done a review on this one is because the flash is kind of wonky. It doesn't work all the time. And unfortunately, this camera doesn't work without the flash. Well, it does work. You just have to be outside on a sunny day because the shutter is fixed to the flash speed. So it doesn't work inside. You can't turn the flash off on this camera. But it is a really cool camera. It has a self timer and all that stuff. It's really neat, plus autofocus. I ended up getting this off Facebook Marketplace, I think about late last year, and they said it would work just fine, and when I got it, it didn't work. I explained to them who I was, and I explained why it doesn't work, and they're like, too bad, sorry, all sales are final. And then I had to end up opening a case against them, and Facebook actually just said, here's your money back, keep the item. So I got this for free. But it doesn't really work. One of these days I'm going to try and find one of the more common ones and reshell it, like take it apart and put the shell on the working body. Hopefully that'll happen in the future. But for now, it is a display piece, but I still really like this camera and I can't wait to finally use this to its fullest potential, hopefully one day. Next up is this guy. This is a Polaroid 600 camera, the Cam Jazz. Yeah, the 96. The only thing special about this is that this is one of the earlier models that Retrospect, yes, if you haven't heard of Retrospect, they're a company that does a lot of retro technology stuff in the music world as well as photography world. They do custom cameras, and this is, I'm pretty sure this is one of the early ones because this has been painted by them. It's not injected molded. And Retrospect is Polaroid's official repair shop / refurbished and limited edition, whatever type cameras. They are the ones that are officially licensed, if you will, by Polaroid. So when you bought one of these, it didn't have Retrospect's name on it. It just said Polaroid Originals, back when they were Polaroid Originals before they changed it to just strictly Polaroid. So there's no name on that box that is by Retrospect. It looks like it is made by Polaroid, but fun fact, it's not. They're made by another company that Polaroid just slaps the name on. But it is an official Polaroid camera. It just has a cool little design. And there was 2 models of this, or 2 variations in color. This is one I found on a Facebook Marketplace deal about a year and a half ago or something like that. It's been a while, but it's really cool. I love the color, the designs of it. But the one cool thing this camera does have, this is the close-up edition of the Polaroid camera, and that means you have a little sliding lens and you're able to take pictures a little bit closer than you normally would, because typically these type of cameras, you have to be at least 3 to 4 feet away before your subject is in focus. This will allow you to go 2 feet to 4 feet. Pretty cool. Next up is this one. This is also a Retrospect camera, but this is the Disney 90th Anniversary Edition. Actually, the box is even back there for it. Look at that. Shout out to Heather for hooking me up with this. Super cool. She's hooked me up with a couple of these cameras you're about to see, actually. So this one right here is a Retrospect camera, but the neat thing about this that separates it from the Cam Jazz is that this isn't injected molded. It isn't painted. So it has a brand new shell, and then the innards are an original Polaroid camera. And when Retrospect makes these types of cameras, they are a limited run. And once they're gone, they're gone. They're not going to make them again, and they're going to skyrocket in price, like hundreds of dollars for some of these. If this was sealed, this is about $500 to $600 camera. It is crazy. So if you want one of the retrospect type cameras and you're on the fence about it, I would just get it and then just don't open it up and just hang on to it until you really feel like, yeah, I did want that. By the time you make that decision, that camera's probably gonna be gone, and then you could resell it if you didn't want it and get double what you pay for it. So this is like a new / old camera. It's both. It's kind of cool. Next up is the Polaroid. I'm kidding. This is not a Polaroid camera. This is a Fuji Instax Mini 8, technically. But it's the Minions edition. And I just think it's so ridiculous that I wanted to at least show it off a little bit. I've actually never shot with it yet. I've only had it for about a month or two or something like that. I just haven't had time to get out there and shoot. I primarily shoot Polaroid, and if I do shoot instax, I'm shooting square or wide. But it looks cool on the shelf. It's just ridiculous. It's literally just an Instax Mini 8 that has some silicone pieces added to it. That literally, this pops in and out like this. And then you have yourself just a Minion camera. I mean, it's still cool. It kind of looks like an eye still, like of the Minion. That's a neat little touch. And it has some branding on the back and on the front. This camera I actually got on a Facebook Marketplace deal as well. I tend to hunt there a lot, so you can find some good deals on there. A lot of people get into this craft or hobby and not realize the extent of how much it will cost in the long run, so they ended up just buying the camera, maybe like a double pack or maybe the big 5-pack of film, and then didn't shoot that and then be done. They're like, that's too expensive, I don't want to keep shooting this stuff. So they sell the cameras off, and a lot of times you can get some really, really sweet deals on these cameras. So I would check there. And last camera of today is the Tasmanian Devil Polaroid camera. Looney Tunes, what? Look at this thing. Probably the rarest camera I own. It's not necessarily based on price, because I believe the Disney camera is worth more than this one, but as far as availability and rare and scarcity, this one is probably, I would say, higher, but again, not for value. But it's still a pretty expensive camera. I also got this from Heather, but how freaking cool is this? What? I literally just got this camera too, and I have yet to be able to even shoot a single photo through it, but I really can't wait. But man, why can't Polaroid start doing this stuff again? Instead of just cameras that have like printing on them or whatever. Except for the Stranger Things one. They did a little bit more than normal. They did retool the mold and be able to have the instructions be Stranger Things themed on the bottom of the camera. That's pretty cool, but that's the extent of these cameras that they've ever done. In fact, that was the only time that I know of in the last 5 years, 6 years. Basically, when Impossible Project got Polaroid, that's the only time I think they've ever altered something for a specific theme. As far as I know. Leave some comments down below if I'm wrong. But how cool would it be if they start doing stuff like this again? Man. But one of the cooler pieces that I've gotten in a long time, I think. It just looks really cool on the shelf. I mean, technically, it's basically the exact same model of this one. It's just not the close-up version like this one is. It has that extra close-up lens, but it's the exact same camera otherwise, except for the front face of Taz and the cool custom shutter button. And I'll do one honorable mention. It's honorable just because it is a rare camera, but you guys have seen this thing 100 times. I've talked about it so many times. Everyone talks about this camera, and that is the SLR 680. This is technically a super rare camera. It's hard to get. People are trying to get these all the time. And when you do find them, they are very, very, very expensive. But this is the SLR 680. It is pretty freaking sweet. I use this all the time. It's awesome. Now let's take a quick look at my shelf of cameras, and more importantly, I want to share that shelf with you because I think it's pretty sweet, and a lot of people ask, how do you display your cameras? Let's take a look. Here is the shelf of cameras. Most of them are instant cameras, but there's a few down here that aren't like film cameras. They are just taking up space until I fill it. And this isn't even all my instant cameras. I've got a lot more just around the studio, but this shelf right here was an idea that my friend Dave Knopp, the Knopp Top YouTube channel, he found. It's actually a shoe organizer, or like you put shoes in it technically, but they fit cameras super well. Now the folding ones, like the Taz one, you can't display open. Like this is the talking camera, which Dave actually gave me. But this one, you can't display it with open. These aren't tall enough, except the top three. The top three, there's more room and you can actually store some of them flipped up. Pretty cool. And it does fit SX70 cameras. It also will fit the SLR680 opened up. It'll just stick out a little bit. But yeah, this shelf is super cool. I'll leave a link in the description if you want to get one yourself. I highly recommend it. They're on Amazon. So those are some of my more rarer cameras that I currently have on this shelf. Oh, and that one over there. I didn't bring it over. But what cameras do you have that are rare? Let me know in the comments below. Let's chat about them. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Now, get out there, make some art.